Stand up and defend the Constitution. That's the word from civil society organization Defend Our Democracy. Under its banner, 100 NGOs have declared their commitment for democratic renewal and change. And with the national elections edging closer, that's ahead in 2024, the civil society campaign is calling for what it says are new politics to defend South Africa's constitution. Among other actions, is calling for an end to the ANC's cadre deployment and is set to mobilize against corruption and state capture. I'm joined now by Advocate Mojanku Gumbi, a human rights lawyer and chancellor of the University of Venda, to discuss some of the outcomes that were adopted by the Conference for Democratic Renewal and Change in the East Rand in Ekurhuleni this weekend. Advocate Gumbi, good afternoon. Thank you very much for your time. Just a reflection first as an overriding question. Was this conference successful?
Absolutely. Totally successful. Just the number of organizations that attended the conference, the energy that was in the room, the representativity across racial lines, gender, age, was really wonderful to see.
Now, reading the final declaration, it's very clear that the intention was not just to have a talk shop and record the challenges and the difficulties. It was also to set a path of action going forward. How significant is that?
Well, I think right from the beginning, as part of the Secretariat, we said we don't want to rehash what is already known in the public. We wanted to come out with a program of action to decide on what steps we should take to correct what has happened. So from the beginning, throughout the discussions, we kept everybody focused on what it is that we can do. And especially on the second day, the focus was on, okay, give us practical steps that we should take as we live here. Obviously, you could not come out with the details thereof. And as the Secretariat, we are going to draft a more detailed plan of action, which we have committed to share with all the organizations and anybody else interested in the next 2 weeks.
Okay, and part of that program of action from the declaration, if we may just quickly unpack some of the aspects that you have raised, and you can share with our viewers the importance and the relevance of each. The very first one is about campaigning for a new electoral system. What's wrong with the current one?
I think the current closed party system, we have seen that people always adopt a party line instead of what is correct. When you are elected on the basis of your party list, when you get into parliament, we've seen many a times where the party secretary general would come and address the caucus, and everybody has to follow that line, irrespective of whether it's correct or not. And some of the members would know that this is incorrect, what we are doing is incorrect. So there's a sense in which members of parliament have not embraced the fact that once they are elected as members of parliament, they represent you and I. They may have come in on a party list, but once they are there, they are national or provincial or perhaps even municipal. They represent you and I, and they have to take the interest of the country at heart. So we need to change that. Obviously, you know, if you jump from a proportional representation system straight into a constituency system, it's also got its own challenges. At the conference, some of the delegates said to us, look at a direct election threw up in the US with the Trump election. So especially in South Africa, where you know the inequality is still there, civic education is not that widely spread, you really need to do that hand in hand. As you change the political party system, you need to make sure that people know that they will still get their grants. That's a government responsibility, irrespective of which party is in office. They will get proper attention.
So that's one of the aspects in terms of the electoral system, one under the program of action that you're going to be outlining, as you said, over the next 2 weeks. There's an issue of renewal, democratic renewal, and the issue of protecting the democracy that you say has been destabilized. So just tell me, with a few minutes we have left, the other aspect is building a movement for change. These 100 organizations were there. One would then imagine you are going to be campaigning to get more organizations on board, and individual citizens can join. It's got a ring of the UDF to it, like we saw in South Africa in the 1980s, the mass movement uprising against the government of the day, apartheid government. So this movement will be what, in a nutshell, if you had to juxtapose it against the UDF?
It is a movement that reclaims people's power. We have for too long handed over our power to politicians and political parties, whereas that power belongs to us and they are our representatives. So it is a movement that says, we are in control, we are in charge. So you do what we say you should do. That's
okay.
what the movement is about.
Okay, finally, so in 2 weeks' time, what should we expect?
In 2 weeks' time, you would get, we're asking organizations to now endorse the declaration. It was adopted by acclamation, but some organizations want to go back and look at it. So endorsement of the declaration, and you will get a clear program of action. And other organizations are continuing. For instance, organizations are continuing with their program.
And just for clarity, this is not a political party information for the elections in 2024. It's a mass active citizenship movement.
Absolutely. Not a political movement at all.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll touch base as time goes on. Very interesting development. That's Advocate Mojanku Gumbi. She's a human rights lawyer and chancellor of the University of Venda.